welcome to the Final Picture Show podcast, episode 48, almost to that magical number of 50. Tonight we're talking about 28 weeks later, and of course I'm joined as always with Travis.
Oh, hey there.
Hello there. Hopefully we do not get interrupted by Thor raining down thunder upon us this week, and
Honestly?
we can just go through a whole episode without something fucking crazy happening. It's my goal in life, but we'll see.
We'll see.
Oh, Lord. Well, we had a sign of the apocalypse this week. Our good old, in a way. Our Master Blaster is no more. It is now just Master, as Blaster has decided to go fuck off because he has ruined his reputation and image and is going to try to go repair that in some capacity. So I think that's my sign of the apocalypse this week is billionaires making about faces, or as we used to call them in Texas, flipping a bitch, turning around and hoping for the best, because you realize that path you were going down was not really the one of success.
No. I think in Canada, like you're calling about flipping a bitch, that's a U-turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think in Canada they call it busting a shitty. I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
I like it. I like that.
I might have just made that up.
No, that sounds like something that was in probably Trailer Park Boys at one point.
I feel like
it might have been there.
I could easily get that from there.
Do you have a sign of the apocalypse?
I was going to say Master moving over from the or Master or Blaster, whichever one is which, but because I lost track. But moving over from the Thunderdome to Lord of the Rings, if you dig my meaning.
Yeah.
You know, taking us all down that way. That's fun. That's a
good little journey. That's a fun time. Also getting in some Terminator 2 in there as one of the big, beautiful bill, the BBB as they call it. The big, beautiful bill apparently has a clause in there that like eliminates the state's rights to regulate artificial intelligence for the next decade. It's just a weird little clause to have in there. Like, just odd.
We don't even really... The AI we have is just language learning models. Like, that's it.
Well, that's what we have access to.
Oh.
I don't know what the military has access to. I feel like the military probably has access to better AI than we do. And I don't know what their plans are. But
the less we say about that, the better.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know what the plans are for it, but it is nerve-wracking in a lot of ways, and fear-inducing. Speaking of fear-inducing, let's talk about the movie tonight. 28 weeks later, coming out on May 11th, 2007, here in the good old United States, and April 26th, 2007, in the United Kingdom. In London, actually. It came out on the same day in the United Kingdom as it did the United States, but had a special sneak preview in London. And also had a different release date in Spain, where it came out on June 29th, 2007. Keeping with the summertime release, as the first one did. And as the upcoming third one will also have a summertime release. So, summertime.
We're in the middle of it.
Exactly. This movie, a lot of people do not know that it has a different writing crew, as well as a different director than the first one and the upcoming third one do. So, Danny Boyle did produce this, as well as did Alex Garland, and they also helped with the script a little bit. And Danny Boyle would actually shoot some of it as second unit director, and most of the intro is Danny Boyle.
Oh, okay.
So, the part where Robert Carlyle's running and the camera, that's all Danny Boyle stuff right there.
Yep. So that still felt similar. So
okay, I was gonna say that's him doing that. The intro was mostly him. The rest of the movie was filmed by the director of Juan Carlos Fresnaldo or Fresnaldo. I'm not sure. I'm not of the language that he is from, so forgive me for any mispronunciations. He has directed some cool shit though. Encanto is a really cool movie. He also directed Intruders, which is another interesting horror movie. As well as several TV shows. He's also a writer, and he would write alongside several people with this movie, including the following. Jesus Olmo, who would write Cold Skin, this and about 4 other movies, and that's pretty much it. So he has not really written a whole lot, but some interesting stuff. I've never seen Cold Skin, but it looks pretty cool. Next writer is Enrique Lopez Lavigne, who is mostly a producer and has written a lot of stuff us gringos have never seen before. So, and I say that because as I looked up his Wikipedia page and his IMDb page, I got several lists into the spreadsheet of his work and was like, yeah, I ain't seen any of this shit.
Yeah.
But it all looks pretty good. It all had good reviews and stuff.
Okay.
Another writer is Rowan Joffe. Once again, forgive any mispronunciations. He's actually the son of Roland Joffe, who was the director of The Mission, that movie with Robert De Niro from the 80s, where he kind of, that's an okay movie. It's long. I fell asleep during it once. Rowan Joffe has also written The American, Before I Go to Sleep, as well as several other movies as well. And like I said, Danny Boyle also contributed some ideas, as well as did Alex Garland in the writing of this. This was not the original sequel, and we'll get into that as we get into the background of this movie. So they kind of took some ideas from the original idea that Danny Boyle and Alex Garland had, and then added on some ideas, and then changed some ideas, and actually changed some ideas while they were in the middle of filming, as we'll talk about. They actually changed things as they were filming this movie. So this was not one
that's
where
always fun.
This was not one where the script was always firm. They sometimes would kind of change things on the fly. Getting into our cast, we have our main star, Dawn, played here by Robert Carlyle, who has been in a ton of movies. As also a director, he would show up in a lot of Danny Boyle movies, which kind of leads to the confusion of, did Danny Boyle direct this movie? Because he would be in Trainspotting, Trainspotting 2, and as well as The Beach with Danny Boyle. And like we talked about last week, he was supposed to be in the first one, 28 Days Later, but did not end up showing up in that. And like I said, I think he was doing Ravenous or maybe Full Monty or Aragon, any number of other movies. He's been in a lot of movies. He's been in a lot of movies. He's a great actor. I love him. He is the best part of Trainspotting, and he makes that movie fantastic. All his just intensity. Yeah. Every scene he's in Trainspotting, he improves tenfold.
So intense.
Yeah. Next up is Rose Byrne, who is been in a ton of stuff. She's in that most recent Platonic TV show with Seth Rogen. That was really good. That was on Apple TV.
Oh, that's why I haven't seen it.
Yeah. A lot of people. I watched it on the 7 Seas.
I can dig it.
She also was in Neighbors 1 and 2 with Seth Rogen. Some movies with Seth Rogen there. She was in Bridesmaids, as well as Insidious, Get Him to the Greek. She will show up for us in Knowing, the Nicolas Cage Into the World movie, as well as Sunshine, the other Danny Boyle Into the World movie.
Can you believe I've never seen Knowing?
That surprises me.
Yeah, because, I mean, Nick Cage, I usually, if he's in it, I've seen it. But for some reason, this one, I think it's because I get it confused with that other one where he can see like 3 seconds into the future or something like that.
Yeah, he did similar movies at the same time that they both kind of had played off of like similar concepts.
And they also have like similar names, I feel like. So I just always thought that, like, I've already seen that. So
yeah, the man is not Eric Roberts prolific, but Nick Cage does make a lot of movies.
Hey, speaking of Eric Roberts, got my parents into watching Righteous Gemstones, and he just showed up.
Nice. Nice. Next up is Jeremy Renner, who's freaking Hawkeye, and would also show up in a lot of other movies I really like that aren't Avengers movies. But he was in The Town, American Hustle, Hurt Locker, and before this one, he was in SWAT, which is not a very good movie. No, but he was in Dahmer, which is kind of okay. And then an underrated movie that he was in is Neo Ned. Have you ever seen Neo Ned? Because you would love Neo Ned movie. I can't remember all the details about it, but I remember watching it a couple years ago and being like, "That's a good movie. I like it." Neo Ned. Yeah, Jeremy Renner shows up in that one. Yeah, next up is Idris Elba, who more Marvel movies, as well as Suicide Squad and some DC stuff. He's also in Cats, Release the Butthole Cut.
Oh, Lord.
Pacific Rim, so that's one for our friend Dom's podcast. Dom also Release the Butthole Cut. lots of,
Amazing.
yeah, if he's listening, he'll get a kick out of that.
Oh,
Lots and lots of TV shows. Mr. Alba has shown up, and he's a fantastic actor. He makes the Suicide Squad, the second Suicide Squad, the not the sec. Yeah, it's not Suicide Squad 2 because it's not connected, but it has the same Harley Quinn. But James Gunn's Suicide Squad, his performance in that makes that movie a lot of fun.
The more watchable one.
Yes, the one that doesn't suck completely.
Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Next up, we have Catherine McCormick, who would be in Braveheart once again, like Gleason from the first one, Braveheart connection.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies, Shadows of the Vampire. She was in that one. As well as... I've seen that one. Oh, that's a great movie. It is William Dafoe.
Oh, that one.
It. Yeah, it's about the creation of the Dracula movie.
That's right.
Yeah, William Dafoe just goes crazy, and it's a good time.
I need to watch that. I don't know why I've never... It's one of those movies where I'm like...
I think it's on Tubi.
Oh, awesome.
I think. Check it out.
Yeah.
Not an ad, but could be. Tubi.
Tubi?
Get in touch with our ad department, which is me, I guess. So that's pretty much our cast. Also, we have, Imogen Poots, who is the sister here. And she would show up in Black Xmas, Green Room, which is another movie about Nazis. Jane Eyre. I love Green Room. That movie's great. It's about a punk band that shows up to play a club, and they don't realize it's a Nazi club. And they get stuck in the green room, the changing room, as they're held hostage. Patrick Stewart is in that movie. It is fucking intense. It's a good time. It's a really good time. If you've never seen Green Room, you should check out Green Room.
Yeah, no. See, I'm such a bad movie person because I've seen a bunch of movies, but not cool ones.
Speaking of cool ones, she was also in Me and Orson Wells, which is a really oftentimes not talked about Richard Linklater movie, which is also really good. It's about Orson Welles putting on a play, and it's not bad. It's not bad at all. The guy they have doing the Orson Welles performance is quite gifted. And especially if you love some Orson Welles movies, that he kind of will definitely help you kind of be reminiscent of that.
Oh, nice.
I liked it. Check out Me and Orson Welles. Yeah. Check out any movie Richard Linklater does, but that one specifically. So that is most of our cast. The cast obviously goes on. We have a lot more people here than we do in the first one.
Yes.
And this is more of a studio movie than the first one.
Oh, big time.
And we can tell that in the way it's filmed. It doesn't look like the first one does. At times, it kind of makes references to the first one. Like, they'll do extreme close-ups, like we're filming on a Steadicam. Yeah. But it's not filmed in digital video like the first one was. It's not edited like the first one is. There's a lot that it's different between the two movies. So while they're similar topics, they are also completely different presentations of that kind of topic. And even the upcoming new one is also going to be more reminiscent of the first because they're filming most of it on cell phone.
Ooh. Okay, that's cool.
They have a giant rig, multiple giant rigs that have all these cell phones that they can line up all at the same time and film from a different angle.
That's awesome.
So it's going to look very interesting. Talk about that at the end of the episode, though.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit about our cast and our director and writer. Here's a little bit about the background. Just like the first one, all of the infected had to be athletes, so everyone needed to be athletic. And this was not the original idea for a follow-up. Originally, Danny Boyle and Alex Garland were going to do one called 29 Days Later. And the twist there was going to be on the 29th day, all the infected were fine.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so that obviously they kind of twiddled with that idea a little bit, and you can see a little bit of that here with some of the immunity stuff that they get into.
Yes.
You can see that idea they kind of borrowed. But
oh, God, could you imagine just the feeling of imagine you're in 28 Days Later, and you've had to, let's say, you go all crazy like Jim did. You kill a kid that's infected. You go through all this insane stuff to kill these, terrible, abusive, soldiers. And then the next day,
everything's good.
And everything's just fine. And you're just, they're out there in that cabin waiting on that plane, and the plane's just like, everything's fine now. Like, and they're like, oh God, like, oh, all you had to do was wait. Oh, that's
Yep. Took about 30 days.
That's awful.
And once you got, that 30 days after you got infected, you'd be fine.
That's a sick thought.
That was kind of going to be, I think, one of the little twists that they were going to throw out there. Obviously, that didn't happen.
Yeah, that'd be hard to build a story on, I think.
Yeah. We got a very different interpretation. A couple years later, so this would come out, like I said, in 2007, so only 5 years after the first one. And now we will be waiting almost 20 years for the follow-up to this one. So some good time in between then. The budget
That's
here
crazy.
budget here was $15 million, which was still pretty respectable. Not the $8 million that the first one costs, but not a super big budget movie, right? Still pretty relatively small. It would make $65 million. So once again, did quite well for itself.
Yeah.
And as we'll get into the movie, we'll talk more and more about like what things were last minute ideas and changes that they've made, as well as some obvious goofs and some problems of the script and story writing that you can see kind of come through making these last minute changes.
Yeah.
As well as I have a theory about this movie, kind of a hot take, if you will, about what I think this movie is actually about, a big theme of the movie, so to say. So we'll get into that here in just a minute.
I was gonna say, getting back to like the Night of the Living Dead roots of like it's a comment on society.
Yeah, I do think that there's some kind of commentary going on here, and I also like that this movie very firmly separates itself from being a zombie movie, because we distinctly say like, well, the infected can die, and once they are dead, they do not rise back from the dead, so they're not zombies.
Right. No,
and we also get like this way in which it's carried can be through saliva, it can be through blood, it can be through semen. Like there's a lot of different ways, and people can be immune to it. I do like that the first one leaves it very ambiguous. Like it makes a lot of homages to zombie movies. This one does that, but also kind of firmly establishes that these are completely different kinds of things that are going on. And who knows with the next one, because this one ends on a little bit of a cliffhanger as well, setting up that what's going to happen in the future. So we'll see if where we get picked up on in the coming next one that's showing up here soon in a couple weeks. So you ready to do some trivia and then jump into the plot of this movie?
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of early 2000s music songs. I'm probably way in the wrong path, but we'll see if it helped.
All right, well, let's see if it helps. Okay, well, let's see here. I have it pulled up in front of me, and I'm looking at the top 5, and I'm ignoring the bottom 5 because I don't know any of these fucking people.
Oh.
So that's not going to help you. Number 5, I also don't know, but I think he was a rapper, and not one that you would probably initially think of.
There was one that came up that I forgot about when I was listening to music, was like
Brilliant.
Lupe Fiasco.
Not him at all.
Oh, okay. But I mean, I guess
that is a deep cut. That is a deep cut. Kick, push, kick, push. Neo, Because of You is number 5.
I remember Neo. I don't think I ever listened to a single song, but
I do.
I know that I saw the name before.
Number 4 is another hip hop artist who did some pop crossover. Still kind of relatively big. He's well known for autotune.
Oh, that's got to be T-Pain.
It is T-Pain, and this is Buy You a Drink, which I think was one of his first like big songs.
Yeah.
Kind of going way back there. Damn, 2007.
Really.
Shit, T-Pain. God damn, dude.
Yeah, right.
Making me feel old. What else made me feel old is I was reading a Reddit comment that actually proved to be true, which is surprising for Reddit. But the comment was that Stranger Things started when Obama was president. And that really put things in context for me. And I was like, God damn, that show's been on the air for too fucking long.
Holy shit, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, they're coming out with a new season now.
Yes,
so
it's going to be in 3 pieces, and I'm immediately like, oh, God, just let me watch it at once. I don't need to, like, be broken into 3 chunks. Get the fuck out of here with that. Speaking of getting the fuck out of here with that, number 3 is a collab between several different artists.
Oh.
One of them is a producer who produced a lot of hits and still does. Another is a boy band, Wonderkind, from here in Memphis, Tennessee, or he says he is, at least.
Oh, really?
And the other, well, yeah, he says he is. Rumor on the street is he's from South Haven, but we'll let that slide. And the other collaborator on this track is a female artist who peaked in the early 2000s and should make a comeback because I love her work.
Oh, that's got me curious. I don't know. I'm producers that I'm thinking of, like Timberland, came up.
That's it,
when
right
I was
there.
listening.
That's it.
Oh, okay. That's the
Timberland.
First thing I thought
It
of.
was Timberland. Give It to Me, featuring Nelly Furtado and Justin Timberlake.
See, I thought, okay, that's it wasn't the exact song I thought it was because I don't know that song, but I do. I gotta say I totally agree with you on Nelly Furtado.
Oh yeah, Nelly Furtado's great.
And I think she's a Chicago person, no?
Oh, I have no idea about that.
Okay, well, I may have made that up too.
I just like her music.
She's awesome.
I didn't dive that deep into it.
No. But,
okay.
Yeah, always liked her stuff.
Yeah, shit was great. That
and
song
of course,
was
I'm
actually. Oh, good.
I was gonna say I'm also a big JT fan. I'll get that out there.
Yeah, he is specifically. He says he's from Memphis, but people that live here say he's from South Haven, actually. So.
Huh.
Yeah, he did one of his concerts here. I didn't go. It was during a snowstorm, and it was downtown, and the streets were all icy, and it was kind of like people kind of gave him shit here locally for even doing it. Anyway, number 2 is another former number 1 song. The Give It to Me, but it was also a number 1 song the week before.
Huh.
This one was also a number 1 song a few weeks before. She is a pop punk icon from Canada.
Yep. I wonder if I can guess the song, but I'm going to say Avril Lavigne.
Avril Lavigne, yep. It's not on the first album, so it's not one of the big 5 that, like, her big 5 hits. It was not Skater Boy.
I'm With You? Is that on that same album?
That's what that one's saying. Yeah, that's the same one. My sister had that album, so I definitely... I'm familiar with it, yeah. No, this was a little bit later, so this is 2007 Avril, so this is a little bit later in the game.
I think I was
This is maybe the last song that I actually associated with her, and it's a fucking annoying song.
Oh, God. Is this that boyfriend song?
It is. This is Girlfriend. Hey,
whatever.
You, I want to be your girlfriend. Yeah,
God, I did not like that song.
Yeah.
It's
a terrible song.
Erased it from my memory for a little bit there.
Awful song.
I can only remember her first album.
It's a terrible song. Terrible song. This is what happens when pop punk ages. Number 1.
She did that. Oh, God. Speaking of her annoying songs, she did that other song with like the like kawaii thing or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like Kitty. Well,
she was entering into her late stage Gwen Stefani.
That's right.
Soon Avril will have to marry some right-wing Republican country guy. It's just part of the full circle. I think actually she may have already done that. I'm not sure of the politics of the Nickelback dude.
Chad Kroeger, yeah.
I'm not sure of the politics of Mr. Nickelback. Number 1 in the country when this movie came out. Any guesses? This is it's a band, but they're kind of more of like one guy, really. He's on a lot of reality TV shows. He's mostly popular for that now. He's on one that I think you used to watch a lot of. I didn't watch it.
Really?
I used to make fun of you for watching it.
God, I watched a reality TV show. Oh, The Voice. Oh, yeah, like Maroon 5?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this is Maroon 5. Whatever the fuck his name. I have no idea. He's a douchebag. He seems like a terrible person. He seems like a terrible person. The only interesting thing I know about Maroon 5 is that before they were Maroon 5, they were a different band without him. And they kind of did like ska punk.
Oh,
that's the only thing I know about them. Yeah,
that makes me think of Korn for some reason because they were what LAPD before they were Korn.
Yeah.
Did a very different kind of music.
Yeah, did kind of more like hardcore punky kind of shit. Yeah. Maroon 5 before they were Maroon 5 did like Operation Ivy covers of like awesome. Jaded. She's a bombshell. Shit like that. Yeah, I downloaded some of it back in the day on LimeWire. It was not very good. Not missing much. They were probably better off becoming Maroon 5. At least they made a lot of money that way.
Hey,
because they continue to make a lot of money. The number 1 song was "Makes Me Wonder," which makes me wonder why they were as popular as they are. Because
you could have said a name of any song and I'd be like, that's probably a Maroon 5 song.
just throw out any title. Should just go through like the Vandals discography and throw out titles like. Anarchy Hamburger, like Abortion Staycation, and you'll be like, yeah, that sounds like a Maroon 5 song.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. Also,
you know, it's funny you say that about The Voice.
If there's not a song called Abortion Staycation, there needs to be a punk. There needs to be a punk song called Abortion Staycation by the end of the week.
That would be good. That would be good.
I will write it.
You know what's funny about The Voice? Yeah, I still watch it.
Of course you fucking do.
Of course I do. I mean, we've all got to have some kind of basic shit.
I watch 90 Day Fiancé with my wife every fucking week.
Oh, God. That might be my favorite trash TV show.
90 Day Fiancé is fantastic. It's so bad. Those people's lives are horrible, which makes me feel just a little bit better about my life.
The one I actually think I like more than that is Married at First Sight. I like
that's a terrible one as well. That's another terrible one. Oh, yeah, it's terrible. It's awful shit.
But we used to sit around and watch stuff like that. We used to watch
this is true.
What was that? Storage Wars and
yeah.
What was that? The
Shipping
one where they
Wars.
The other one where they were the moonshining. What was that, like Moonshiners or something?
Yeah,
like that?
That's the one we watched with Leva. Yeah, the moonshine one. Yeah, with Pickle or Nipple or something. His name was something silly, and he spoke English, and I'm saying that in inverted commas. English, because I didn't understand a fucking word he was saying. Yeah. History with trash reality TV show is definitely intact. Well, we're going to pause here and take a little break and then come back and talk about the plot of this movie. See you guys in a second.
See you.
Hello there. Stopping in for a quick break and telling you what we're going to talk about next week. We got some big plans coming up that you'll hear at the end of the show, so stick around for that. But spoiler alert, one of them is going to be a brand new movie that we're going to review for the first time. The first time we've ever done this. A brand new, just coming out to theaters movie will be what we talk about next week. So stick around. Alrighty, we are back.
We did it.
And thanks those of you for sticking around, and especially those of you who maybe have just now realized this is not a free stream recording of 28 weeks later. I know it takes some of you a little while to realize that, according to our YouTube standards. But let's get into the plot of the movie. We start in the kitchen, as all great movies do, and they're trying to whip up a meal that is not foul. And this is an important part of the movie, as we'll talk about later whenever we get into my theory about what this movie is about. I think that the beginning of the movie is really, really important, and other people that have since consulted, other sources I have since consulted also kind of say that the beginning of the movie has a lot of importance to it. And this is also the one that we talked about was filmed by Danny Boyle, and it starts in darkness.
Yes.
As they kind of are trying to find light. It seems like the entire day, like it seems you don't realize that it's not taking place at nighttime until the child gets there. And then it's like, oh, this is the middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like the entire time and before then you think it's taking place at night. And
totally
it really gave me I don't know about you, but it gave me like Where the Wind Blows vibes.
Oh, absolutely.
Between the two of them. I don't know if that was an inspiration for them, but that was some of the vibes I definitely got from it.
Yeah, I can definitely. I can feel that.
Yeah. We meet our little group of survivors because it's not just Don and his wife. There's also an elderly couple and a few other people that are living there. And we also meet Jacob is one of them, who is a fucking dick, who basically criticizes Karen, whose boyfriend is missing.
Yeah.
Who we think that's who's showing back up at the house, but it's actually a little kid who's been chased by the infected.
Yeah.
Who kind of throws the whole situation into chaos, so to speak, in just a few minutes once he arrives.
And just forgot how to use a fork already?
Yeah, right. He's kind of like this like wild child who is just kind of comes out of nowhere. And Dawn doesn't really like want him in the house at first.
No.
He's kind of resistant to letting him in, but they eventually let him in anyway. And he's actually fine. He hasn't been attacked. He hasn't been bitten or infected or anything like that. His mom and dad turned on him, as he says, in Sanford. And this is supposed to be a little in-joke to Shaun of the Dead, because Shaun of the Dead made references to 28 Days Later. So they here make a reference to Hot Fuzz, which is the city Sanford takes place in.
Oh, nice.
So there's a little allusion to you there that they kind of throw in there as well. And basically, once the kid gets there, the kind of chaos and starts, and the thins out the cast real fucking fast.
Oh yeah,
as a lot of people start to die.
Oh
and Karen's gone. Jacob is almost gone. The two elderly people are gone.
Yeah.
Dawn's wife, as well as the kid, have to run away from them. Dawn starts fighting back, but then eventually kind of bails on that.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually just bails on his family entirely as he fucking flees and leaves them for dead.
Yeah, see,
which is a big part of the movie.
It is, and I'm going to say the movie definitely wants me to feel like this is a real shitty move on his part, but it's like, as a fellow coward, I don't know how long. I mean, if I was if it was a situation like that where we were like cornered and I was completely separated from someone like that, like, and it was very much like a no-win situation trying to help them out, I honestly, I'd make that same decision, I think. So,
Fuck 'em, bruh. Fuck them.
Well, no, I mean, I'd be all fucked up about it, but, like...
So, this is an important part of the movie, and this is kind of one of the biggest decisions that we see Dawn make, and this is why I think this movie stands apart in its own way, and one of the best parts of this movie is this character here, because he's a character that expresses agency, like, he makes choices.
Yes.
Choices do not fall upon him. He actively chooses in that moment, I'm leaving my wife to die.
Yes.
Right? Like,
absolutely.
He actively chooses his own self-preservation over hers in that moment. Now, later on, we see some more negative toxic traits as he kind of begins to shape that story to fit whatever narrative he needs it to in the moment.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that he is that kind of a character.
I'd probably do the same thing.
Because it's interesting that he's the protagonist.
That I identify? Am I doing
It's interesting
much?
that he's like he's the protagonist, at least at the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And yet he is this deeply flawed character.
Oh, so flawed.
Acts upon his own kind of self-interest.
Absolutely.
And kind of is just a really interesting character. I really like him as a character study. I think he's one of the more interesting character in horror.
Absolutely, because it's usually all so very black and white, and it kind of sort of feels like it's being portrayed that way. It's like this guy's still trash.
The movie really wants you to feel shitty about him.
Oh yeah, but I can't bring myself to do it. I mean, I don't feel like great, but
not only kind of going into your feelings, but also like if you look at it from a logical perspective, knowing what we would eventually know. In that moment, had he stayed, he would have died, and his wife would have been fine.
Oh yeah.
Because he's not immune to it, but his wife is.
And
so she would have gotten attacked, he would have died, and gotten infected.
Well, and how would he...
Possibly killed her again. Like, we don't know what situation would have played out like that. But so it's interesting that the decision he makes, in retrospect, kind of was the correct one.
Exactly. Well, and how could he possibly have known what was going to happen? I mean... They genuinely got overrun. If he didn't go when he did, he'd have been overrun. It would have been nobody left.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It would have just been over. So sometimes self-preservation is the way.
So Dawn, he runs out into the field, and this is one of the better scenes of the movie. This wide shot of this giant open field of infected running after him.
God,
and we get the 28 days later theme played over it, just like the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's the best. The beginning of this movie hooks you. It's the best part of the movie. Best part.
I was so tense. I was just like, it took me, because this movie, I don't watch it as many times as I watched 28 Days Later, but, I've seen it probably more than once, but it's been a very long time. So it's just like, God, it took me right back to the first time watching it, basically, because I'd forgotten so much about it. But, oh, God. Because could you imagine being just having to push that hard running like that? Oh, God.
Oh, dude, I would sprain an ankle and be dead already.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah.
I also have asthma, so, like, if I'm fucked, I'm just fucked. Like I said, hopefully there's no apocalypse on the horizon, because I'm not going to make it.
If I have this weird tendency, like, if there's any kind of dip or hole or anything in the ground, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna roll my ankle. Like, it's gonna happen every time. I'm surprised I can still walk. Like,
so he surprisingly, Don does make it out. Eventually, he finds his way to a boat and has some more fun with another character that he kind of once again tries to save a little bit, but maybe doesn't try as much as he need. Once again, he kind of has to make that same choice once again, where he's like, if I overexert and help you out too much here, I'm going to end up getting myself killed.
Well, because he was in the water, and I mean, trying to get someone from just water to boat is such a task as it is.
Yeah.
But also in this situation, I mean, it's, you kind of got to triage it a little bit. And it's like, well, I'm in the boat. He is surrounded, like, by infected, and they're in the water with him. Like, it's the longer you take,
we do find out that the infected can swim.
Yeah, oh yeah, I mean,
not only can they run, they can swim.
Yeah, and it's, oh man, it I don't know. I mean, there's, the movie wants you to feel really shitty about this dude, but there's parts about it like that's what I would have done. Honestly,
yeah,
like,
interesting. I like it. Oh, yeah, I like that you have that take on it.
I am a full-on coward.
We then cut and we get a little bit more information about our background here. So we learn that 15 days prior, England was quarantined. 11 weeks after that, the United States came in to help with the quarantine. 18 weeks later, they have given the all clear. There have been no more infected in a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a rebuilding stage, which is a key word that I think is unique in this movie, which is kind of like we get to see society attempting to rebuild, and we get to see kind of how we're rebuilding and in what image we are reshaping society.
Yes.
Specifically, these two young characters of Andy and his sister, who are the only two young characters in the movie, which is kind of a plot contrivance that not only are these two young characters the only two, they're also the only two led into this village, and they just so happen to be Don's kid. Yep. And Don just so happens to have security clearance to this specific, like, there's a lot of plot contrivances in this movie that begin to add up the more you think about it. And this is one of the reasons why you can see that the writing phase of this movie kind of underwent a lot of changes and maybe not always for the best.
Right.
So we then get to meet some of our soldiers, and oh shit, it's Hawkeye, as he is sitting up top like a sniper, watching everyone kind of see what's going on. Kind of seeing how everything's folding out.
You get to see a lot of what to expect from Jeremy Renner in the future. He's basically going to be on the top of a roof.
This is why I like Neo Ned, because he's not on the top of a roof in that one, and he's not playing a character that just shoots things from a long distance. So several of the American snipers are kind of bemoaning the fact that they're just bored and they're all waiting combat. They have itchy trigger fingers. And
I think it sort of feels like a callback to the first movie with the soldiers being kind of, just like what would you call that? Just like very
well in the first one, they're very like stir crazy, and in this one they're also kind of like very antsy just because they're there to kill, and yet they haven't had any opportunities to, so they're just kind of sitting around doing nothing, just ensuring everyone's kind of also doing nothing. There's not really anything going on, right?
Yeah, they're kind of like a security detail or something.
Yeah. So some medical anomalies later, we find out that Andy here has some kind of immunity, which is going to become important later, and he kind of inherited this from his mother in some way.
They allude to that by his eye colors are different. He has that a heterochromia iridium thing where
his eye colors.
His eye color is different on either eye, and that is. And it's significant because it's typically a trait passed down by a parent. And he says, it's my mother. And that's, you don't know that's important yet. But
yeah, and not only does it become important, it also is an important part of like my theory of the movie. Like, I think the gender is a big important part of this movie. It gets brought up several times for, I think, important reasons. Get into that at the end. So Don is the father of these kids, and he is also, as we found out at the beginning, the one who kind of left mom to die.
Yeah.
And so we kind of, as he takes the kids home, we kind of get a little bit of like the surveillance state that exists, kind of following post 9/11 here, kind of magnified in this little police state that they have kind of working where everyone is always being watched.
Oh, yeah.
And so we find out here that they are... not only did it not go anywhere else other than England, the infection, it's been about 6 months and no one has shown up as infected.
Yeah.
And it didn't get airborne. So this is kind of explaining a bit more about what actually... This is where the first one of the movie kind of doesn't answer a lot of those questions. So you have a lot of things left. Whereas this one kind of firmly answers a lot of those things. It didn't get airborne. They're not The Walking Dead. And it's been months since we had an outbreak. And it was isolated to England. Like England was quarantined, which is a question that they ask in the first movie, right?
Yes.
Which is like, how has this spread everywhere? Like, and the movie sets up those questions but never answers them. This one, we kind of get some of the answers for some of those, which is cool. And shortly after this is where Dawn breaks it to the kids. What happened? And I love the way this scene is shot. Because the way it shoots it, they go overhead just to show the physical distance between him and the kids.
Yes.
To kind of reiterate the fact that like there's something in between him and his kids, and I like that they never tell you like he's an abuser or he's an absentee father or anything like that.
Right.
But you just kind of get some unspoken like emotion between all three of them. That something between them isn't right. Right. They're happy to see dad, but they're also concerned about mom, and they don't really 100% believe this story that he's telling them, because he tells them that he saw mom turn, and this is specific because he says that he sees it.
He said,
and then later on he'll go back on that and try to gaslight them a little bit. But at first he says he saw her get bitten and they couldn't do anything. Yes. And obviously this shakes the kids, and they have a very touching moment, especially the daughter, as she starts to have tears come out of her eyes. Andy is immediately suspicious, and both of them they want to go back home to get some relics from the past to remember mom by. But both of them are still a little bit like, you kind of get that. I love the way that it's not really laid on thick. It's just slightly hinted that like they believe, they take dad's story at face value. Yeah. But they're still not 100% convinced about it.
Right. Like they're still like, but she's dead and you're alive. Like,
yeah. Andy even asks him like, you couldn't, there was nothing you could do.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's nothing I could do, which is not true at all.
Right. Well, it was kind of true, but...
So one thing that I think would have been cool, I just literally had this thought. Had this movie stopped right here and become a completely different movie, it would have been a very interesting take. Have this been like a Rashomon type thing where we kind of revisit this scene that Dawn had and see it through different lenses of we see the mom's perspective of her leaving and what happens to her. I thought that would have been kind of cool.
That would be.
We don't get that. We don't get that. Instead, we just kind of get, the kids kind of hear his story, and, Yeah. Next thing is the military guys are playing grab ass.
Yep.
As they are wont to do.
As they are. And then we also get this Rose Byrne character. I can't remember the character's name. Where she's like a medical officer, and she's just like, why wasn't I informed about the kids coming? Like, this is a big deal or something, like, we haven't done this. Like, they make a big deal about these are kids now. They're introducing kids into the what have you, whatever you call it.
Yeah, these are the first kids that have ever in the green zone.
The green zone, thank you. And
these are the first ones.
So, I guess she figured it was significant because, like, not everything's great yet, like they don't have everything under control. They're not, it's not, I don't know, like there's still a lot of work to do before reintegrating everyone back. You know?
She's not 100% convinced Reconstruction is like going as smoothly as the military seems to think it is. Where they're reintroducing kids, and she's like, I don't think we're quite there yet.
Yeah, like there's so much that needs to be done
regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
And like I said, the kid, Andy, is he's having nightmares, but he's also kind of really wishing his mom was, he had some stuff to remember his mom by.
Yes.
Specifically this picture he wants. And so the kids decide to sneak out of the green zone and go back into the London that has been quarantined off.
Day one, or
day 1 or 2. Yeah, I guess they make it through the first night, and then day 2 they're like, "Hey, let's go get into some shit while Dad's at work."
Like it's we have been sitting here way too long not doing this. So.
Yeah, and this is another one of the plot holes the movie has, in that like the snipers, the police state, they immediately see these kids doing this, but they don't like stop them right away.
Yeah,
they let them steal the bike. They let them travel all through London. They let them do all of this stuff. I don't think that would be something that would be happening.
No,
they make a big deal about it on the train that like no one breaks quarantine, no one leaves this area.
Oh no, they'd have been descended upon. There'd have been helicopters. There'd have been troops, trucks. Like they'd have been like it'd have been a whole thing. You know?
Yeah, there would have been a lot more happening.
Oh, yeah.
So the kids, though, they find a bike and they kind of drive through London. And this is like similar to the supermarket scene from the first one, in that we get a little bit of moment of like levity and like happiness between the brother and sister.
Yeah.
As they just enjoy London completely abandoned. And it's some really good cinematography. It's really pretty. You get the homage to Danny Boyle. We get a bridge shot.
Yep.
But we get all these little things, and it's pleasant, but it's a little impractical considering what you've set up already about how like this is a military zone, and it's like, okay, had they like snuck out without anybody seeing them, that'd be one thing, but they very clearly are seen. Like Jeremy Renner calls them puppies. They very, very clearly are acknowledged that the military sees them doing this and just chooses to let them have some fun.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. So the kids eventually make their way back to their house, and Andy gets his picture, but he also gets more than that. As he goes up to his room, he finds out that Mom is alive, and she was bitten. She has been infected, but as we find out later on, after the military finally shows up and takes them all three back under some different circumstances this time.
Now they descend on them. It's like that.
Yeah.
You cannot be slower than these kids on a bike. Like, come on.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, like I said. You got to suspend your mind on some of the parts of this movie.
That's fair.
Yeah, and so Mom is taken hostage and taken back to the green zone where she is quarantined, and they're immediately interested in her because she has obviously been infected. Yeah. She's not talking a whole lot, but she has been infected. But she's immune to the infection. So they immediately want to study her. But the government would rather her be studied dead.
Yeah, I was going to say, Idris is like, you can study her corpse.
Exactly.
Like, which I guess
Dawn is going to help out with
practical.
That. Yeah, right. So Dawn finds out that his wife is back.
Yeah.
And immediately is like, oh, shit. Now I got to think of a plan.
Well, and that's
the
when
kids,
they confront him, and they're like,
they rightfully call him out. They literally call him out on it. They like, you said you saw her, like you saw it happen, and he's like, I never said that.
Yeah.
Look, I don't know what's happening here, but it's a good thing.
Oh yes, yeah. This is the perils of being a cowardly liar. I'm just gonna say, if if you didn't know what it was like in my shoes.
Oh Lord, I feel like when I get to the end and I give my interpretation of this movie, this is going to take a weird turn. We'll see. I think I have an interesting take on what I think Dawn represents, and
maybe
the fact that you're identifying. So, as you say, the fact that you're identifying so strongly with him is very funny to me.
I mean, I see a lot of that flaw in me. I just, it's like
so. Dawn, because he just so happens to have access to the room that she's in. He's like a caretaker of some sort for this green zone. Yeah, but we never see him actually doing his job.
No.
He just has access for some reason. It's like, okay, sure. Sure, okay. Yeah, this is another one of those plot things. You just have to kind of be like, okay.
Just kind of have to go with it.
Yeah, just kind of go with it. Okay, gotcha. So he goes there, and he's going to go visit his wife, obviously.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And this is where we get some visual homages to the first movie with Jim and Selena.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens next is very important in the movie, but it's also kind of interesting to talk about in that it symbolically has a lot of different subtext going on, I think. Because Jim Dawn leans in and gives her a kiss. Obviously there's no consent asked here,
right? She hasn't said a word. She doesn't say a word
to him. Yeah, she's barely even moved. She's completely she knows he's here, and she knows what he did. She knows why he did it, and she doesn't trust him anymore.
No.
And so she's immediately kind of hesitant around him, rightfully so.
Oh, yeah. And this is where I feel like she kind of takes on the bad guy role. Well, I don't know if she knows that she can carry the virus or whatever.
I don't think she knows or doesn't know. She never says anything to him. She doesn't stop him from kissing her, but she also doesn't say, please kiss me. He just kind of kisses her.
Yes. And
I don't think she would want him to because of what happens next.
Right.
Because it kind of ends poorly for her. But, I don't know. I think it's interesting. It's interesting.
It didn't seem like she expected to infect him.
No.
I think she was just no. No, I don't want this.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Yeah, because he leans over and kisses her. And when in doing so, the saliva contacts his saliva, and he immediately infects himself with the rage virus and starts to immediately turn, and does so in a very violent way. And one of the more memorable parts of the movie is him turning.
It's crazy.
He just kind of goes crazy violent and starts punching and hitting everything.
One of the first times we really get to watch that process.
Yeah.
I don't know, we're seeing how, the rage goes from something personal to just absolute insanity, Oh,
yeah.
But...
And he has a lot of pent-up rage and hate towards his wife as he immediately takes out that and gouges her eyes out, which is a very violent physical assault.
Yeah, I will say...
It's also a very intimate way of killing someone. You literally have to, stab your fingers into their body.
See, this is where I think I'd like to stop identifying with him, but...
Hey, you gotta distance yourself from Don at this point.
Oh, is it? Oh, and now I'm backing off. Okay.
We jump off the Don train now.
Well, I mean...
One thing you're going to learn about trains is it's a whole lot harder to jump off than it is to jump in. I don't know if that's true or not.
I was going to say, is that Mark Twain? No. Mark
is that Ric Flair?
Oh, nice. But because at this point he's infected. He's not himself anymore. And...
he gouges her eyes out and smashes her head in, beats her head in.
Oh, God.
Kills her, and then begins to kill everyone else in his path. And we immediately learn that Rose's character was correct, and that they are not at all prepared for any kind of outbreak to happen, because it goes bad for everybody.
Well, yeah.
And this is where Dawn starts kind of showing up as a character after, specifically Andy, but after him and Andy and his sister, and anyone that's helping them, which is different than the first movie. The first movie, the infected are not really identified, other than the one that's tied up. That's kind of at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's specifically set free and on the soldiers to kill them. Other than that, no other infected is really it's that,
right.
We're associating any kind of agenda with that infected. With Dawn, he kind of has an agenda in mind where he's after his son in a way that is kind of different than we see in the first one.
Yep. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So, basically the whole green zone becomes a red zone, and code red is issued, as
Did
everyone
you order the
is.
code red? Sorry.
I ordered the code red. I did, in fact, order the code red. And everyone is running around, and Andy and his sister get separated as they're rescued by Rose's character.
Because she's like, we lost the mother. We need to protect this kid. Like,
yeah. The mom is dead at this point, and so they know that Andy is immune because of what was discussed earlier in the movie.
Yeah, the eye genetic trait.
Yeah,
thing.
the eye trait thing that he has, and so because of that, they're trying to desperately keep Andy alive. So Andy kind of becomes this like MacGuffin kind of character that like they're trying to just hold on to as best they can, and different people help him along the way, whether it's Rose or eventually Jeremy Renner shows up and helps them as well.
Yes.
So basically, they've lost complete control, and it's just all gone to shit. They're trying to get everyone evacuated, but that doesn't really work very well.
No.
As that ends up bottlenecking everyone, and this is when Andy sees Dad, and Dad is here to fuck some shit up once again.
Oh, yeah.
As he immediately begins to kill more people as everyone starts to panic, and it goes from shoot just the infected to shoot everyone the snipers are told.
That's crazy. That's where they go to? Like,
at that point, they're trying to just control the outbreak, I guess. Like, just kill everyone so that way we can make sure no one else gets out of here that could potentially infect more people. Of course, that doesn't work.
No.
As some of the snipers begin to become infected. And Jeremy Renner's character, in spite of at the beginning him kind of having that itchy trigger finger, he completely resists this order to kill everyone.
Yeah.
In fact, he actually just helps Andy get out several times.
Yeah, like, it's at a certain point, and I don't know, I'm not exactly sure, like, I guess because he sees the kid in the crosshairs and doesn't take the shot. And
he doesn't take the shot.
I guess that was his turning point. Like, well, maybe that's kind of a sort of a...
He has like a humanizing moment earlier in the movie where he's kind of like, post-apocalyptic Rear Window watching everyone at in this hotel as they're kind of doing things. And he's kind of watching the families, and he's kind of humanizing in that respect.
I forget that he does kind of peep in on them while, like, that night, and that kid's jumping on the bed, and he kind of, like, has a smile about it. He's like, look at that.
Yeah, he's like, well, because also, like, those kids represent youthfulness, right? Like, they're the only kids.
Yeah,
it's just those two.
It's a return to normal. It's an innocent, like an inherent innocence. It's, they're kids. You don't... Yeah.
So, Hawkeye, like we said, he helps Andy out. And so the Avengers start to get formed.
Oh, they're going to say assemble.
The Avengers Assemble. Yeah, right.
Avengers begin to form.
Avengers round up.
Awesome.
Avengers, if you could be here after coffee, that would be really nice. Thank you for your time. Once you get here, the meeting starts, please.
That's awesome.
Jeremy Renner's going to help them get out of town because he knows that the entire area is going to be basically carpet bombed.
Oh yeah,
which this part is also kind of silly because like the heat from that would be like unbearable. And they barely get out of that. And the budget is shot. You can see all the CGI, which is not aged perfectly, I will say. It kind of shows some of its age. Which the first one didn't have any CGI like that. So another thing that makes this one uniquely different than the first.
Yeah.
Didn't have any CGI shots in that one. Here we get a lot with the kind of carpet bombing of London as all the avenues and corners are blown to bits just in time for them to get around the corner with some more people that Jeremy Renner picks up along the way, which honestly don't really do anything other than just serve to die. That's pretty much all they're there for. They're literally just kind of more fodder for characters. They have no reason to really be there. Just another character who is there for them to die. I guess the only other thing he really does is he holds down the helicopter for that one part, which kind of fucks some things up as that's where they're going to. They're trying to get to this helicopter to get out of here.
Yeah,
but
and the
Jeremy
helicopter...
didn't tell them that he's bringing parties. So.
Yeah, he just says, I don't know. I guess I'm not exactly sure what the helicopter pilot understood, but I think he does kind of explain he's getting them out of there or something. Like, because he says he's like, you're not at your post. Where are you? And he's like, I'm in Sector 1. He's like, that's about to be on fire. So you need to get out of there. And
they have 4 minutes. And they do get out in 4 minutes.
Yep. But like when they're I don't know, I like this part. Like I guess I just didn't understand what the helicopter pilot thought was going on. I don't know. Like, 'cause he's like, you didn't say there'd be people. It's like, well, what did you think he was doing? Like, what did you think he was just running? Yeah. Like he was just deserting? Like, oh, maybe that's it. Okay, maybe that is what he thought.
I think it was just another excuse to have more CGI as the guy jumps on and then he kind of loses control and almost crashes the helicopter and instead just cuts off the head of a bunch of infected.
Yep.
Which is a cool shot.
This kid is not very much for self-preservation. He kind of throws himself into the worst shit. Like, oh man. And I'm sure that was the movie. Just more tension,
Right, some more tension. So the next extraction point is actually at the stadium. So that's where they're told to go next because they missed this extraction point because of what happened.
Oh, yeah.
And the next part is the part that makes no logical sense at all if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they nerve gas is being dropped onto the city to kill any remaining infected. Yeah. And they avoid this by ducking into an abandoned car and putting their shirts over their mouths, but it's nerve gas, so it would have, as soon as it hit their bodies, they would have just all died.
Yeah.
Or, well, at least had, like, seizures and then gotten killed shortly thereafter.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's just that this part of the movie is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And somehow the infected who were able to punch through glass and doors are not able to knock through this simple car at all, and it's also kind of dumb. Then after this, they have like the flamethrower guys come through.
Yeah.
And somehow they're the slowest fucking flamethrower crew in the world. And also this Deus Ex Honda here just somehow doesn't have the thing it needs to. And so Jeremy's going to push it to start.
Yep.
But like, why would that be the issue? It's just like, of all the cars they could have got into, they got into the one that just so happens to just barely need a little bit extra to get going.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of plot contrivances at the end of this movie. You can tell, like, towards the end when they started changing things a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Which is where they started changing things, is towards the end a lot.
I think that makes sense.
Things start to kind of fall apart a little bit.
Well, because so far we've had no heroes in this. Like, none. Yeah. It's like...
Well, Jeremy's going to be one.
He's our hero.
So his plan is to get out and push the car to help it get started. And, of course, this results in him catching on fire as they're burning everything around them. But this does allow them to get out, but not very far, because they pretty much immediately crash into the subway, which I guess it makes sense to go to the underground because you want to get out of the city. And so you can go into the subway system, which I guess is where their plan is to go to now in order to get to the stadium. I've also heard people online say that the physical geography of like the route they take in London is nonsense. Like they go in like random circles for no fucking reason. People have basically like plotted out this movie like based on the geography. Like, okay, you need to get from here to the stadium. Here's the route you would take instead of like the route they take. And I thought that was kind of funny that someone has spent the time to break that down.
Hey, that's very Exodus of them,
So they head underground. They get deeper underground, and this is where our character steals Hawkeye's sniper rifle.
Yes.
So she has night vision. I kind of like this part of the movie. I like the night vision thing. It's a cool little touch. Little touch. It's fun. So they're walking around underground, and they're relying on her to tell them where they're going. And of course, this doesn't go very well for them.
It does not go well at all.
They immediately get separated, and they're completely lost in the dark under the in the tunnels under London.
Yeah, and
she was pretty shows up.
She was bad at giving directions.
She's very bad at giving directions. Yeah, she's terrible at giving directions.
I identify with this. It's back in the days before GPS and everything. Ex-wife now, but we went on our, I'm going to do air quotes, honeymoon thing. And we were driving around, and I was given the map, and she was driving. I got yelled at a lot because I do not know how to. I'm bad at maps, so I identify with Rose Byrne in this. So this movie has a lot of me in it.
So yeah, another improbable thing that happens is somehow completely away from where they were before. Dawn shows the fuck back up again. Somehow his Andy sense is triggered, and Andy has been seeing Dawn throughout the rest of this movie, but it's hard to tell like if he's seeing visions of him, or if he's actually like seeing him. Right? It's kind of hard to tell exactly how they're doing that, and so Dawn does actually show back up here, though. This is a real one as he kills Rose's character.
Very cool scene.
Yeah, I love the way that's shot. And then immediately goes after Andy and actually gets on top of Andy and does start to attack Andy.
Yep.
And only stops when Andy's sister shows up. And the sister, whose name I forget, forgive me.
Well,
we've been recording now.
Is Imogene Poots, so.
Imogene Poots, yeah, I was going to say. We've been recording for over an hour now. Imogen here, she shoots Dawn and takes the final shot on her dad and ends his life and saves her brother. So, which is interesting that she is able to save her brother by shooting her dad there.
Yep.
I really, really enjoyed that. And she immediately, and this becomes an important theme of the movie, that she is the one that kills him, not Andy. Andy doesn't take the final shot, but she steps in and does that for him.
Right.
Symbolism. So they are able to finally make it to the stadium, and they're the last two left, and they are rescued kind of begrudgingly still. Yeah. But Imogen does stand in front of Andy and kind of say, like, no, it's just me and him. I don't think she wants anyone to know that Andy has kind of already been attacked a little bit. He's fine. As he's he's immune to the infection, but other people may not know that. Yeah, they're not going to.
Yeah, it's a very ask questions later situation.
Yeah, Andy and his sister get on the helicopter and they fly away. As we cut to the credits and the little sneak peek of what happens next, because it turns out that the infection has spread to, at the very least, Paris.
Yes.
As we end the movie with some infection running towards the Eiffel Tower.
Yep.
And that is the end of the movie. So, I'll get into my theory on this movie in a minute, but initial thoughts, go ahead, what you got?
I get what the movie is saying about these characters, and I do agree. I'm going a bit far when I say I identify with them, but on some level I do, I mean, I'm not going to go overboard and say, yes, I'm a liar coward. I mean, I am, but, I'm not going to say it. I'm a liar. Anyway, no, but I'm taking it to
paradox.
Exactly right. Nice. I'm over exaggerating it, but there's a lot of humanity in this movie because it's very flawed. Like the people, I'm going to say every single character has major flaws, and it is highlighted throughout the whole movie. I think even Jeremy Renner is a pretty flawed guy. I mean, he's probably our best character, our most moral character, the most upstanding. So he's really the best you can get. And, I think, he probably comes out squeaky clean now that I'm thinking about it. But everybody else, so flawed. Like, everybody is, I don't know, like, the military, they are definitely flawed. They're just like, yeah, we haven't seen any infected. We're good. We're not going to, we'll just take less and less precautions. It's fine. And then.
Yeah.
So, I do like this movie. I don't think it is quite as good as the first, but it had a lot. It had a lot going against it. The first movie is so good.
First movie is amazing. Any takeaways to take to our own lives, to our own wasteland?
When a lady is strapped down to a gurney, just don't do anything. Don't kiss them. Don't. Just,
Consent at all times.
Consent, and also read the room a little, just
yeah.
I
Maybe
mean,
now's not the time to get fresh.
Right? Like, of all the things to do.
Well, similar to what you said, this movie is I do enjoy it. It's not as good as the first one, but that's a hard thing to live up to. It tries to do its own thing, and I think it succeeds in a lot of ways. And I really enjoy large portions of it. There's some parts that are just kind of silly and dumb that don't really make any sense, like we mentioned, but those are forgivable. There's a lot of movies like that, and we'll see what the next one's like. So far, this is of the two of them the worst one, but we got a lot more coming out. So maybe with time and context, this one will become better or worse. Maybe it'll continue to be the worst one of the 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 coming out, or maybe it will move up the ranks and become better as time has aged it a little bit. I will say that from the first time I watched it years ago to watching it now, I do like it more now. I think there's a lot to appreciate. And now, big takeaway to add to our personal lives here. I think the big takeaway is if someone says don't leave the quarantine zone, then just don't leave the quarantine zone. I think that's the helpful way to go about things.
Rules are not made to be broken. Then there wouldn't be rules. Follow the rules.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about one last thing before we get into what we're going to do next week and the week after that. But my theory about this movie, because as I was watching this now, I need to watch it again. So I'm developing this theory. This isn't like a formulated idea, so to speak. This is just something that struck me, some moments of this movie that kind of struck me, and I've put together a working thesis of what I think the writers and directors are kind of get at here. I think Dawn represents something.
Oh.
And I think it's a gendered idea of generational trauma and toxic masculinity, right? And I say that because at the beginning of the movie, he starts, and the movie is starting with very familiar domestic roles, where she is preparing dinner, and he is kind of observing, commenting. She's mentioning, I'm making your favorite, right? So as we're rebuilding society, we're kind of starting with this kind of return to these domestic roles, stereotypes, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
Then Dawn leaves her to die. So he chooses his own self-preservation over his wife's. And this is a choice that he's going to have to live with. And you see a lot of I think that choice is very important. I'm not really like I said, I'm working on this idea here, but the choice that he makes to abandon his wife in that moment, I think is very representational of a lot of like his need to be in control, right? He didn't want the kid that came into the house that brought all the madness in there anyway. Right. So that was him losing some of his domestic control, as well as other things that happened at the beginning of the movie. Like I said, the beginning of the movie is really important. Cut to the next part of the movie, which is Dawn informing his kids of what happened to his wife. And we talked about that. He starts to gaslight them. He's telling them these lies. He's shaping their experience, particularly Andy, Andy is the only male son. Right? So his connection to Dawn is important there. But also Andy is more connected to his mom because he has inherited this gene from her, which allows him to be immune to this rage virus, which kind of represents, toxic masculinity taken to a whole nother level. As Dawn becomes infected, the very first thing he does is immediately exert that toxicity and finally take out that rage that he's had, that resentment towards his wife who lived, and kill her in a very, very violent way. Also a very intimately violent way.
Yeah. Well, go ahead. I was going to say, illustrating the rage virus as more masculine, as a more masculine toxic trait, she's immune to it. She's effeminate. She's immune to this masculine rage virus. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
I'm following you here.
I like it. Yeah. So then the rest of the movie is Andy running from his father, right? As his father is desperate to try to get Andy back on his side, right? He wants to effectively he wants to kill Andy. Like, he's going after the sister as well, but specifically him and Andy have some kind of bond, as Andy keeps seeing him showing up in random places, like we mentioned.
Yeah.
Every time Dawn shows up, he goes after Andy, specifically him. Mm-hmm. So there seems to be some kind of connection between him. And then at the end of the movie, whenever Dawn finally does kill every one of the caretakers, well, not everyone, Jeremy Renner sacrifices himself, but Rose is killed by him. She kind of adopts the mother figure for Andy in the second half of the movie, and Dawn kills her as well in another very violent way.
Oh yeah.
Finally gets his clutches on Andy and is about to finally take him to his side, or so he thinks, not knowing that Andy is immune to this. Right? He has no idea that Andy is completely immune to this rage infection. At least we don't know if he knows, but presumably he doesn't have any idea.
Right.
And then who kills Dawn at the very end? His daughter. Who steps in and takes on the final mother figure for Andy and eliminates that father figure from Andy's life.
Yes.
And immediately goes and checks on him and makes sure he's okay. And at the end of the movie, literally stands in front of him to kind of like take on that father, that paternal figure for Andy.
Whoa.
So that was my theory of the movie, is that the movie is about toxic masculinity, generational trauma between males played out, and I think that's my theory that I'm working with right now. I got to develop it a bit more, but
I'm all in.
What do you? There you go.
No, yeah, there you go. I started following you right away too, because when you talk about the domestication, like the gender roles being more normalized at this point from these two in the kitchen, he is, he's this expert looking at the wine to say, oh, it's not very sedimented, like it's fine, it's drinkable. Like he's sure of himself. He's he's in this other role of like caretaking.
He's in control.
He is the one in control. She is she's the nurturer. She's making the food. She's
every time he interacts with his kids, except for the time when they hug at the very beginning when they first interact with each other, every other time there's distance between them, right? Like physically distance. Whenever they're discussing about what happened to mom, they're on separate sides of the couch. And then whenever they're discussing that mom's alive, there's that physical barrier of the quarantine between them, so that there's always something separating him from his kids, where he's not fully able to kind of show them that exactly what's really going on with him. So that's my little theory of the movie, and I'll develop it more. Maybe I'll turn it into a little video essay or something. Who knows? I gotta think it out a bit more.
Maybe someone needs to check on some of these writers. Be like, is everything all right? Is everything, did you get that all out? Like, have you dealt with it? Like, seems like there was something there,
Right. Well, thank y'all for listening. As we talked about 28 weeks later, we will be back next week for a little special one. Episode 49 will be me and my wife, as we will be on the scene of the crime, so to speak, as we will be there on Friday or Saturday. I haven't decided what day we're going to go see it yet, but we were going to go see 28 Years Later live and in living color, and we will do a spoiler-free review afterwards. So you get to hear our thoughts and feelings about the movie. It'll be a shorter episode than normal, and we will follow that up with our episode 50, which will be where you and I are back together again. And we're going to go ahead and tell you what we're going to talk about for episode 50, because it's going to be something completely different, as we do with every 10 episodes that we run into. It's also going to be where we end season 1 of the podcast. So we're going to officially, nothing's changing. We're just officially on Spotify marking the end of season 1 and moving to season 2. It's been 50 episodes. Might as well, right?
Might as well.
Yeah, it's 50 episodes. This is season 1, so you can go back and listen to season 1 of our podcast, which is 50 episodes deep. Anyway, off topic, let's get into what we're going to talk about on episode 50, which is in 2 weeks now, which will be one of our favorite movies of all time. A movie that you and I kind of like very strongly bonded over because it came out while we were living together, and we both, I think a lot of people love this movie. But man, I don't know if too many people in the world that love it as much as you and I do.
I was going to say, I think
this is This might be a cult movie for just you and I, to the point that we have large portions of it completely memorized.
Absolutely.
And y'all are going to have to deal with us talking about The Departed.
The Departed. We're going to have... I can't control it. I have this issue with accents, because we have pretty neutral accents, especially for being Texan. Or Texas-born in your case. But Texas-born. Now, I have an accent, but I think
it's a West Texas thing. You can affix it when you want to.
Absolutely.
We're Texas, but we're in the armpit, so we're damn near New Mexican more than anything.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And so I pick up accents all of it. Like, I talk to people from all over the country, so I pick up their accents as I'm talking to them. This movie, we're going to be talking about it, and I'm going to sound Southie. I can't help it. Like, I'm going to sound Southie Boston. Never been near it. But this movie brings it right out of me.
It's hard not to. Yeah. So next week we will talk about 28 years later in a short little episode. And then we will come back a couple days after that to talk about The Departed. As we will find out how's your mother? And listen to some Dropkick Murphys. And don't need to tell me how fucked you are. You're a black guy in Boston. Just all kinds of fun references.
Oh, God.
References galore. And then after that, we'll get back on track with the apocalypse and talk about something else. We'll find out what it's going to be. Who knows? Something else. Something fun. But we'll see y'all then. Peace.
Take it easy.
Hot damn, college boy. Thank you so much for listening. Every single week we come back with a new movie about the end of the world, or a movie about the beginning of the end of the world, or what happens after the end of the world, or maybe one day we just decide to watch Showgirls. Who knows? Right? But every week we are coming back, and thank you so much for stopping in this week and listening to the whole episode and hearing our thoughts on whatever train wreck of a movie I chose to force my friend to watch this week. I'm a good person like that. And thank you for also being a good person. There you go. If you want to be a really, really fucking cool person, which you obviously are, why don't you give us a like, and actually, more importantly, give us a subscribe. I find that to be more important. I don't know if the algorithm says it is. I don't really give a shit. But thank you for your patronage either way, and clicking all the things and doing all the stuff. Bye.